It is possible that Jane Tanner is not the only person who saw Madeleine being carried away by the abductor.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. So within the last couple of hours we've seen world headlines that there's been a major breakthrough in the Madeleine McCann case. Well, it's been 13 years in the coming, and at last the Madeleine McCann case has been solved. The perpetrator, the suspect, is the perpetrator is German, and we don't know his name, and we've got a picture of his car. But we have a breakthrough after 13 years, and the perpetrator, we don't exactly know where he was, but it is a breakthrough. It is a breakthrough, and we are, an arrest is imminent. I mean, it must be imminent. We don't know the man's name. There are privacy laws. Unfortunately, it's very, very unfortunate that these privacy laws in Germany, because without those privacy laws, we could simply say the person's name, we would know who the person is. So what is the next step? Well, we're not sure. All we know is that on June 3rd, not May 3rd, but June 3rd, just a month after what would have been the 13-year anniversary of Madeleine's disappearance, the case has been solved. So the person and the person's in jail. So we can kind of wash our hands and kind of just let it go, because the person who did this is actually in jail anyway. So in a way, has been caught. We're not sure what his name is. We're also not sure if he was actually in Praia de Luz or where he was, but his car may have been. And this is a major breakthrough, isn't it? I mean, it should be a major breakthrough because it was announced on CNN, BBC, The Guardian covered it, The Express, ITV, in America, the New York Times, the New York Daily Post. It's made news in Australia. It's also in The Express. It's on the Sky News. In fact, there's a name here that one should recognize, Martin Brunt, talking about the German who's in prison for other offences. By the way, I actually saw Martin Brunt in Praia de Luz on May 3rd, the night of May 3rd, at around about 10 o'clock at night. Martin Brunt was in Praia de Luz at night by the Ocean Club. Kind of weird, right? The other thing that is weird is in 2019, they were also talking about an imminent arrest of a German paedophile. Very strange that a year from now, but back in time, there was another German, and it was also a breakthrough, and it was sort of breaking news. It's strange that this sort of breaking news happens at this time, though. I mean, it's great. It's great that they've found the guy, but they seem to always find the guy in May or June, and then what happens? Do they lose him? But then it's okay, they find another guy the next year. And I don't want you to be confused, because this isn't the same German guy as the previous German guy. I mean, it is a German paedophile, but it's not the same German paedophile as the previous German paedophile. On the 22nd of June 2019, the Daily Mail published an article, "Police are closer than ever to solving the Madeleine McCann case as officers identify a new prime suspect in their disappearance from the Algarve in 2017. Talks about a joint effort by British and Portuguese police, and it's narrowing on a, quote, foreign man. Where could this foreign man be from? Which country could he be from? And then it talks about their heartache and all that kind of thing. And in this particular article published on the 22nd of June 2019, it talks about a new clue and suspect, and they admit to being nearer to knowing what happened to Madeleine, right? But then the article sort of goes off, after setting it up, the article talks about the location of the suspect hasn't been disclosed. And the news of this tip-off emerged last month, actually when I was in Portugal, with police looking into an alleged foreign paedophile who was in Portugal in May 2007. So now he's an alleged foreign paedophile. Okay, and that was so. Even though this is about police are closer than ever to solving the case, they only sort of published the story a month after the information came out, but they're closer than ever. Okay. Are they closer than ever now? Because it's a year later. I mean, surely it's like the second coming. If it's after 2,000 years, it's really, really soon. It's going to happen really, really soon. So if Jesus hasn't come after 3,000 years, you must now assume he's going to come at that point. Is that sort of how this works? So if Madeleine has disappeared for 13 years, she will be found at any second. But after 20 years, it's going to be, is it like almost every millisecond? You know, it's because of so much time having gone by, the time after that is just so, it can't be any more. You know, it's just because you're running out of time. So I can tell you, when I was in Praia de Luz last year, in Praia de Luz, the front pages of the local papers were also about the same thing, about a new suspect, and this was also German. It's not the same German, it's a different German paedophile, and an arrest was imminent. And this was all going on in May and June last year. And of course, that is exactly what the McCann Circus is all about, which is every year around this time, the case is about to be solved. Every year around this time, when people become aware of the McCann case, don't worry, we've got a suspect. You know, the case is ongoing. It hasn't gone cold. We hot on the trail of the suspect, and then the year passes, and then the next year they're hot on the trail of the next suspect. But it's not unique to Madeleine McCann. The same thing happens with John Benet Ramsey. There's also Gary Oliver, who sort of becomes the favoured paedophile of the month every Christmas. And what makes it even better is that he confessed to it. But Gary Oliver is also in jail, and he's obviously dismissed by the police, and he's not treated as a suspect. But the media, each time that's a breakthrough come Christmas time, Gary Oliver. So, you know, obviously in this case with the McCanns, this is actually a credible suspect, this German guy. We've got some great images of his car, front profile, side profile of his car. You know, that is who he is. It's his car. Of course, some of the strange things are, you know, was any cadaver odor found in his car? Were any traces of Madeleine found in his car? You say, well, no. Well, what about traces of Madeleine that were said to be found in the McCann's rental car? Disputed, of course, but nevertheless, cadaver dogs alerted. So does that mean nothing? But this evidence from this German that's evidence. And then what about blood evidence supposedly found in apartment 5A? Was any evidence of this German dude found in apartment 5A? Was he seen at the Ocean Club by anybody? Was he ever at the Ocean Club? And what about the Tanner sighting? Hold on a second. Didn't Jane Tanner say she saw Madeleine being abducted, and then other people in the Tanner sighting? Saying, what has happened to that? I mean, wasn't everybody sure that it was, you know, they'd seen this person being abducted, right? And so, can we see a sketch of this person? Because surely Tanner man and this German dude, do they look the same? Does he have long sort of dark hair? Did he wear brown trousers? Is Tanner man actually this German guy? Oh, hold on. The Tanner man sighting was it was debunked because Julian Todman came forward and said it was me. So that can't be him. So is Smith man actually this German dude? So does the German dude look like the guy that Martin Smith saw. Hold on, are we not? Are we just forgetting about that?
Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way.
So what I said earlier about the McCann circus is it's the nature of the circus that every year you get another suspect that's sort of handpicked, and then the media take the baton and run with it.
Are you ever not going to fall for that?
I'm not sure what's worse. What's worse, the media falling for it? Are they falling for it, or are they playing us for fools? Or people falling for it? And if people aren't falling for it, then there needs to be pushback. People need to be holding the media accountable, holding some of the reporters in these stories accountable and saying, what are you doing? Like, what is this? What is going on? Why are you wasting our time? So it will be interesting to watch the media narrative and see how this German suspect, we see him identified and we see what he has to say for himself. We see his face, we see him indicted, we see him stand trial. That's going to happen, right? I mean, that does happen every year as well. That's part of the McCann circus. Or is someone just sort of identified and then someone else is identified and then we move on? Is that what happens? Because bear in mind, you can't identify a suspect when they haven't done something. That's defamation. You can't just identify someone and say, you did this, you abducted Madeleine, when they didn't. And isn't that why his name's not mentioned? So interestingly, last year, a German's name was mentioned, Martin Ney. He was jailed for life in 2012 for killing 3 children. And he was a German paedophile named as a Madeleine case suspect. As I say, all of this was last year. And so you actually had this guy, he's a 48-year-old German, the guy who's identified now as 43, I think. And he apparently abducted and murdered 3 children between 1992 and 2001. He was said to resemble a photo fit issued by detectives. Ney from Hamburg targeted children on holiday by entering their tents or villas wearing a mask and armed with a weapon. I think he was always dressed like entirely in black or something like that. And Amaral, the former Portuguese police chief who was in charge, told Australian media that a jailed German paedophile whom he did not identify was the main suspect. And that was so that's quite interesting, is that he's quoted here, and I think what they're actually saying is at one time he was a suspect, and then you kind of had around this the fact that they refused to comment. So this guy's not the same guy as the previous guy, but this is the previous guy who was held up as the poster boy for the paedophile of the moment, who probably abducted Madeleine. As I recall, Martin Ney was actually a guy who targeted little boys. But that didn't seem to matter, that didn't seem to register with the people reporting on Martin Ney. On May the 6th, 2019, there was a little piece in The Sun. Maddie Efert hoped that Kate McCann believes an Efert linking her daughter to Madeleine's abduction to a German serial killer could crack the case. This was what happened last year. Oh, so it could be this German serial killer. So now it's just another German. It's just another German that could have done it. Maybe next year it'll be a Dutch person, or maybe someone from France, or perhaps even someone from Japan. The odd thing is that the person that was seen by Martin Smith, I mean, he kind of identified who he thought he was. didn't he? So in the next episode in this series, in fact the last episode, I'm going to be looking at how the McCanns sort of emerged out of the cadaver dog controversy shortly after they were declared suspects or Guidos, and how they looked to American case law to kind of debunk the barking of the dogs, the cadaver dog evidence. And of course none of that's mentioned here either, because Madeleine of course is still alive, you know. A pedophile abducted her and she's still alive, kind of thing. Anyway, we will deal with that in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Keep your mind sharp, and let me know in the comments whether you think that this breakthrough is legitimate. I mean, is this it? Is this the moment that the McCann case really is solved? Has it been solved? Is this, or is this just another merry-go-round in the McCann circus? Leave your answer in the comments. Thank you for listening.